We in the United States had last month in November a pretty divisive election. We had a very divisive presidential campaign. We had an election which has left Americans very divided, and it's worrisome. So, for example, there are like 219 million Americans entitled to vote. Of that total amount, Hillary Clinton got something like 62.8 million votes. Donald Trump got 61 point something million votes. Hillary's percentage of the total number of Americans who are in our political system was like 29.9%, and Trump's was like 28.9%, something like that. So it was 30 and 30. So 40% of the American people didn't bestir themselves or didn't vote for either Trump or Hillary. That's a big percentage of a population. So what you sort of have is you have three separate constituencies. You've got a Trump populist constituency on one side. You got a lot of people in the middle, or who just don't care, or are given up, or who knows. We don't know much about them. And then we have a third constituency, sort of Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party, and certain establishment points of view in academia, journalism, corporate leadership, things like that. What to do? Well, we held a roundtable here in Minnesota. We just invited a number of our friends who came, and there was a surprise. There were, I'd say it was split maybe 2/3 more conservative and 1/3 maybe very liberal, but both sides right from the start began reaching out towards the other. And in the sense that they were thinking about sort of this 40% in the middle, or how do we have a process of centering? How do we have a process of joinder? How do we have a process of collaboration? Not a process of ideology and gaining political power in order to impose our views on other people. And that was, to me, actually quite reassuring, both individually, but also in terms of the co-roundtable principles for politics, which speak to the point of discourse and engaging with each other to try to find areas of agreement where you can work together for the common good, where you shoulder power as a trust responsibility, not as a personal prerogative to get your way. So that was sort of a little moment of optimism in times which many people feel are very stressful and very disappointing and very frightening. But then, interestingly, I went to another discussion of the election at a local academic institution, the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, where there were a number of professors and the dean who were predicting what the Trump administration was going to do, was going to be like. And it was I would say, from the audience and the participants and the speakers, it was very academic. And one of the things that struck me was that they were less concerned about this notion of how do we bring people together to keep a critical mass of citizens who are willing to work with each other. The other thing that struck me is, unlike the participants who came to our meeting from various backgrounds in and around business and consulting and lawyers, and some people had been in, we had a former governor of Minnesota who was there. In the academic environment, they wanted to be able to predict with a certain amount of certainty what exactly was going to happen. And it struck me that that's a narrow exercise, and it's a problematic exercise because prediction is not easy to do. And I was curious as to why the audience, questions from the audience were about, well, can you tell me exactly what's going to happen? Why do we need such certainty? And the professors would sort of say, if they could, well, this is what's going to happen, or I don't have enough information, or something like that. And it just struck me it was not a particularly helpful process, not a very helpful endeavor. Predicting in the out years when you don't have a lot of data, as opposed to focusing on what can I do now today to work with other people to move towards an outcome. To me, there was a kind of passivity among the academics. We're onlookers, and we reserve judgment. And we can have our stance of being critical, intellectually critical of whatever might happen one way or another. Whereas what I think a country needs, an economy needs, a political system needs, are people who are going to engage with each other, commit, take risks, work hard, try to get something done, and move on from there. And of course, I guess the co-roundtable effort is to encourage exactly those kind of people. Have a point of view, of course, but don't wait to see if you're going to win. Take a chance, because you might not win, you might lose. But the fact that you lose in the short run doesn't mean it's wrong for you to try. If you do have good ideas and you want to make things better, then go try. But be aware that not everybody may agree with you, and it's going to take work to get along with other people to achieve something good.